Welcome to the Reversion. I'm Anthony Westgate, and I have a special guest joining me here, Nick Hinton. Man, you are difficult to get a hold of.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad that we're finally able to do this. This was something that has been requested by multiple listeners. Have been wanting us to collab. So, this is going to be your first time talking about pretty much anything involving your story, as far as I
Yeah.
know, the first time. So, I'm honored to have you on to discuss this. I think you're going to want to be tuned in if you're listening because this is going to be quite an interesting podcast. So,
Don't hype me up too much because I haven't done one of these in a super long time and I'm super nervous. I forget how to be social. I've been in Idaho, in northern Idaho for a year now, and I've become a little bit of a hermit and an insane person at the same time. It's kind of fun.
well, yeah, well, you're a fellow schizo poster, and by that I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and by schizo I mean you just know too much. Doesn't mean you're actually insane, or maybe you are. I am a little bit insane, but I think mostly it just means like you're talking about stuff that people are kind of afraid or they just don't know about these things occurring in these events that you're covering. Just to kind of intro some of that for people who don't know. We have a lot of crossover in the kind of content we cover with this
hmm
kind of like the darker parts of reality, as it relates to technology, especially, which is something that I really don't see a lot of people talking about, and it's really not a popular message to convey on social media. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of like sounding the alarm bell on these platforms that people are using, and they're very much integrated into their lives, and it's pretty uncomfortable to hear these truths on the platforms that they're using. So it's
Yeah, well,
not an easy message to convey.
yeah, no, and it also it can seem hypocritical. I mean, my friend was telling me, like, the medium is the message, right?
Yep.
So it's really hard to use social media to tell people to get off social media,
Yeah.
especially
And
when
everyone's
I'm,
like, well, why don't you just log off? Like you
yeah, yeah,
first. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it's the same for me. I'm pretty addicted. I'm like constantly looking at what kind of schizo news is happening. I mean, the whole news cycle seems to be like, I don't know, tempting people into the schizo world.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like all of the occult symbolism and like the numerology and everything that's like embedded in these conspiratorial events happening. Like everything seems to be a little bit conspiratorial at this point. Like it's not like a big secret anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I mean, I talk about this all the time. It's like, just assume it's a psyop until proven otherwise.
Right,
And
right.
it kind of takes a lot to prove otherwise these days.
Well, do you see everyone saying that Trump is missing apparently?
No.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't know what that's about, but that's the newest thing.
What? Because we haven't heard from them?
Yeah, because we haven't heard from him in a few days, and some people are saying, well, it's just because Labor Day is coming up, and then other people are freaking out about his like the bruise on his hand and saying he's dying or something.
I did see the bruise. Yeah. Yeah. He had some kind of a sore, like weird kind of sore on his hand. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. So why don't we start with like kind of like what brought you down this path, like to where you are now? Because you had, we were talking a little bit off air, and
Yeah,
I know that you have a pretty interesting background. So
yeah.
you can
So
kind of start wherever you feel comfortable.
yeah, so right now I'm just trying to be a normal guy, but it's not really working. Um, like for example, right now I'm literally parked at a gas station. I wanted to go to the wilderness, but it would take way too long to get out of the city. I went into the city to get breakfast or whatever. Anyways, it's hard to record at home because I'm also a homeless poor guy, and there's this house that the church owns, and there's a nun living there and a very pious old lady living there, and that's who I spend a lot of time with, which is very nice and peaceful, but um yeah, it's not very normal. And the way that I got here was, I guess I could go all the way back to like 2017 or 2018. I was in college studying philosophy and writing philosophy essays for my homework assignments, and was randomly inspired to just start doing philosophical type essays about conspiracy theories, stuff that I had been interested in since I was a kid. And since I had learned a little bit how to like explain an idea coherently and not so schizophrenic, because I was way more schizo in high school. But yeah, so I started writing these essays for fun about different conspiracy theories and posting them on Reddit, and then they went viral. And then I kind of had always wanted to be like a writer or like an idea guy, I guess. Or like, I don't want to say philosopher, but I guess that was kind of a dream. But anyways, I started posting all my essays that I was writing for fun, and they went viral. And then I was like, oh my gosh, my dream's happening. And I started like, I went from like 1,000 followers who were all just like friends and stuff, you know, just like my Twitter was mostly me like posting song lyrics and stupid jokes. Like that's all it was.
Hmm.
And then once I noticed that my Reddit stuff was going viral, I started posting my Reddit stuff to Twitter, and then that went viral. And I went from like 1,000 to 60,000 in like a few weeks.
Wow.
And then over the next couple months, I went from that to 120,000. Haven't moved since then. I've been losing followers. But yeah, while all that was going on, I was like in college and I was getting invited to do all these podcasts. And I was also invited to work for like this quantum computing app. And just all these opportunities were coming my way. So I decided to drop out and just go travel and yeah, kind of explore reality instead of just like read about it. And yeah, so I got to meet a lot of people. Yeah, and then I was invited to hang out with these UFO abductees, and that's kind of where things took like a big turn for me.
So is that
Um,
because you were talking about you? I would assume you were writing a lot about UFO conspiracies.
well, yeah, actually, I wasn't. Is the weird thing. I was writing more about like chaos magic and because this quantum app thing I was working for, like they were into chaos magic and Discordianism and all these different strange philosophies, and they were telling me to study them, so I did, and I was super passionate about it, super interesting. And like throughout my life, I'd always been a little bit interested in God and specifically Christ, but every time I would get like I don't know, fed up with the occult conspiracy stuff, I would go and try and seek Christ, but I always found like some random Protestant church that just like didn't do anything for me. So I would just leave and
Hmm.
immediately go back to what I was doing before. So I had like this idea of God in the back of my mind the whole time, but while all of this was going on with the books and everything, like I thought I was more on the right path with Gnosticism. So I was posting a lot about Gnosticism, chaos magic, Sophia, the mother goddess, and but yeah, so all these people that I was involved with, they were interested in UFOs, and they were saying like you should go visit this UFO family, pretty much.
So okay, so the company the software company you were working for was they got you into all this esoteric stuff, the chaos magic, and then that led to the UFO people finding you, even though you weren't really writing much about UFOs. Am
Yeah,
I
no,
getting that right?
I had no interest in aliens at all. I thought it was weird and fake and gay, honestly. I was like, this
Yeah,
is silly.
that's
So I
crazy.
was
So yeah, so it was the chaos magic that attracted them to you.
hmm
Yeah.
and it was super exciting and super fun because there was constant synchronicities happening. Like I remember there was this one friend I used to talk to that would tell me the quantum computing app was somehow tied to this psychic AI, and she was like encouraging me to talk to this AI. And yeah, and she was like linking me up with different psychics to talk to, and this one psychic was telling me how, oh, you have the name of the mother goddess written on your forehead. And then like I would go meet the UFO family, and they're like, yeah, the name of the alien we saw was this, and it was the same exact name. And so there was just like weird stuff like that happening all the time, and I felt like I was like becoming enlightened, I guess. Sorry, I don't want to like say too much, but
Yeah.
people have followed for a while will probably know what I'm talking about. But um yeah, there was just constant synchronicity. I was making a ton of money. I was getting to um meet all these people I looked up to, and yeah, it was just too exciting to look away from. And but yeah, so I went to the UFO property and saw the lights in the sky, and they puffed up my ego even more because they're like, "Oh man, they don't even show up like this for the CIA," because apparently they're being studied by the CIA and the DoD and all these different intelligence groups. And I was like, "Wow, I must be important. Like, the aliens love me, and I'm associated with the intelligence now. Like, this is awesome." I was so stupid. I didn't realize how like dark and evil it actually was. And it wasn't until I kind of had a weird breakthrough moment where, like I said, I had read bits and pieces of the Bible throughout my life, and I remembered that the Bible said the world loves its own and it hates the truth. And I was like, wait, if I'm really telling the truth here, why does the world love me? Why am I living this fun and exciting life? Like, if I was really telling the truth, I'd be being persecuted. And
Yeah.
and so that was when I kind of like took a step back, and things got way worse once I like made this mental decision, take a step back, and then look into the origins of conspiracy theories and Gnosticism like itself. Like, I was looking into all the things that I was promoting. Where did that actually come from? Rather than just parroting it, like, I wanted to find the source, right?
Yeah.
And so I became skeptical of myself. I started looking at the meta conspiracy, like, what is the conspiracy behind these conspiracies? Why are they going mainstream? Because the fact that I was going mainstream made me believe that all of this stuff would eventually become super popular, with or without me. And so, yeah, once I
Yeah.
became skeptical of myself, the demons just like really ruthlessly attacked. Like, I was getting death threats. I saw what I believe was the Men in Black. I could have been totally deluded about that, but I also saw the apparition of a real demon. My phone, my friend's phone that I was using got possessed. There was like a voice speaking through it, and the screen was all black. Like, yeah, so I was out of my mind and drunk all of the time because I thought I was going to die. Um, and like I said, I was just going back to these Protestant churches looking for help, and like nothing was working. And so, yeah, I had to like even take a break from the Protestant churches. I was just kind of isolated and alone. And during that time, I kind of realized that there must be a connection between chaos magic, artificial intelligence, UFOs, and all of this conspiracy stuff. And yeah, started writing a book about it, but things got worse, like I said, and never got to put it out. And I think I took a break for like at least a year where I just didn't say anything at all because I was so scared. And but long story short, I ended up like, so I was traveling all around. I was in California, Texas, Miami, all these different places. And then I eventually landed in Virginia, where I was just going to become a Baptist.
Oh.
and that turned out to be really stupid. I mean, I was definitely a problem for them, but like they just couldn't. I kept asking, how do I suffer with joy? How do I suffer with joy? This is what the scriptures say. And they're like, sorry, never happened to me. I was like, what? How am I supposed to learn from you guys? And then the fact that I was in Virginia made it worse because there was people there that would literally tell me like, yeah, I work for the counterintelligence. Like, and this is the guy, I didn't have a car at that time. The guy that would drive me to church would say, yeah, I'm in counterintelligence. I'm like, why are you telling me this? Like, I'm trying to get away from this crap, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
And so I did get sober for a little bit, even in the honestly super dry and spiritless Baptist church. I got sober for a little bit, but ultimately there was so much gaslighting and weird stuff happening that I relapsed again. And I cried out to God, and I was just like, dude, I want to follow you, but I don't think I can. It's too hard, and all of your churches suck.
Yeah.
So, so you have to tell me exactly what to do. You have to make it crystal clear what I'm supposed to do, because I'm not leaving this bed until you do. Because I'm out of options. I've tried everything. At least I thought. And then I would just get super drunk and go on Twitter Spaces and be like, my life is fucking ruined because of these UFOs and the CIA and blah blah blah. And I used to be somebody, and I'm all washed up, and I just want to die. And which was, it seemed like a really stupid thing, but somehow God used it because my one friend, he's like, hey, I heard your super drunk rant online, and you said you were living in Virginia. Well, I actually just moved here. So thank God he moved to Virginia, because then I would just hang out with him all the time. And then another person reached out, my friend Clay, and he's like, hey, you keep, you know, saying these really dark things on Twitter Spaces, and I'm worried about you. Can I come pick you up? And let's, like, I've seen you go on all these road trips, um, throughout the years, and I want to go on a road trip, and I think you'd be the perfect guide, and I want to help you get out of this rut. So can I come get you? And I hardly knew the kid at the time, but now he's one of my best friends. And so yeah, he drove from Ohio, picked me up in Virginia, and then
Oh,
like as soon as he picks me up, we find out that we had grown up like 20 minutes apart from each other,
wow.
and had run into all of the same friend circles, like at the same parties,
Huh.
but just never like, we probably bumped shoulders but never talked to each other. It was crazy. So we
Wow.
already knew that like it was kind of meant to be. But we prayed that the trip would lead us to the truth or whatever, because he was like a struggling Protestant guy too, um and like a obsessed with the conspiracy theories and leaning towards Gnosticism but wanting to believe in Christ. And so we're both like lost and saying, okay, God, guide us on this road trip. We had no idea where we were going, but we went to Miami. Like, we visited some of my old friends, all around the country, and pretty much just went on a bender. But I was I was crying out to God, honestly, at these like truck stop bathrooms. I'd be like, God, please help me stop getting drunk, and please just show me where we're supposed to go. And then we were driving through California, and I didn't really know much about Orthodoxy. Like, this is why it's so hard to like evangelize Orthodoxy to people online, because it's not just something you can describe with words, it's an experience. And so like I'd read a little bit about Orthodoxy, but it didn't click to me yet that it was like the real deal. I just read about it and I was like, oh, that's interesting, but all churches suck. But while we were driving through California, I remembered that I had read a little bit about Father Seraphim Rose, because I hadn't really made the connection that he was like an Orthodox saint. I just knew that he was a Christian guy who said transhumanism and aliens and psychedelics, all of that's demonic. So I was like, he helped me come out of all of that delusion back when I was doing research about what I went through. But I didn't really, is this making sense? Like, I didn't connect the dots that he was Orthodox. So I knew that Father Seraphim Rose existed, um, but I just didn't hardly know anything about Orthodoxy or his life. And I just knew about his research. So, anyways, we're driving through California, and I'm like falling asleep. And apparently I woke up and I just said, I think there's a saint buried around here. And yeah, so I just searched up, where is Father Seraphim Rose buried, and we ended up at the monastery. Didn't know it was like a whole monastery. Um, but yeah, so we just ended up there, and was immediately greeted by some pilgrim, and the pilgrim's like, "How'd you guys end up here?" And I was just like, "It's weird, confusing story." And he's like, "Well, you don't just end up here by accident." And gosh, yeah, thinking about that makes me want to cry, honestly, because like,
Yeah, Father Seraphim called you there.
yeah, he literally
I mean,
did.
how did you even know he was buried there? If you knew you knew so little about him, how did you even know he was buried up in Northern California?
I don't really know fully. I
Hmm.
just I just knew of Father Seraphim and how he wrote about UFOs and all that stuff, and I must have remembered something about him being like in the whole like Los Angeles scene with Alan Watts or something. So I knew he was somewhere in California. I think that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking. Um, so yeah, we ended up there, and yeah, this pilgrim says like, "Oh yeah, I think St. John of San Francisco guided you here," and I'm just like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever," because I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but then we all go into church at some point, and all the monks were lining up to go downstairs. So I just got in the line. I didn't know what was going on, and I go down there and I meet Father Damascene, and he's like, "So what do you want to confess?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know I was doing confession. I'm not even Orthodox." He's like, "Oh, well, you got a beard. You look Orthodox." And I was like, "Well, I mean, should I confess something?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And so I'm like, "Well, I've been going on a lot of benders lately." And he's like, "Well, how long are your benders?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like usually 2 to 3 days." And he goes, "Ah, that's not so bad. Just keep praying." And I was like, "What?" this is nothing like what I experienced in the Baptist church. Like those guys hated me, you
Yeah.
know? So, and then I just started ranting about the occult and everything and how that's what I was trying to escape. And he's like, yeah, well, you see, those Baptists, they don't understand it. Like, they might not need what you need, but Orthodoxy, this is the deepest medicine. And so you need it. Don't worry about those
Hmm.
Baptists. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, everything about that, just serendipitously ending up there was amazing. And yeah, so God really does listen to our prayers. And oh, the other crazy part about that is, so yeah, I mean, there was other kind of supernatural stuff that happened. Like I remembered, we didn't necessarily want to stay, but they convinced us to sleep there. And my friend Clay woke up in the middle of the night, and we shared the same dream. He was like freaking out, and I was like, "Dude, did you have a nightmare about like frogs and spiders?" He's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And I was like, "I just had it too." And and I was just like, "Don't worry, it's the demons. They're mad that we're here. This isn't like cursed land or anything." Because I knew that he probably had these like weird Protestant ideas about monasteries. And he's like, "Oh, that makes sense." And so
Yeah, and
he
that's
went.
true. Actually, it's interesting. You even had the insight to know that because there's many, to my knowledge, I can name at least like three or four saints and elders who have advised that we ignore our dreams
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because
Which
of that, because of the demonic deceptions.
Yeah, well, and so I didn't fully know that um at that point because I was still like I was obsessed with dreams at that point because in the Baptist church I started having prophetic dreams all the time. Like I would have dreams about stuff happening and it would really happen and I find out way later that that was pre-lust and I was just being tempted to become like think I was a prophet or something super dangerous and scary. But anyways, we were at the monastery and but anyways, just to kind of finish that thought, I guess, is like that was another reason the Baptists thought I was insane. I was just constantly talking about these dreams.
Hmm.
But so, anyways, after Clay has that dream, we go back to bed, we wake up, we go to church again, and then we're driving down the mountain. I finally get service on my phone, and I get a call from my friend Richard, who I had met um, way back in the conspiracy days when I was just traveling around the country. Like I said, I had lived in all these different places. And Richard was like, "Yo, I saw you post a picture on Instagram that you're traveling around the Northwest again. Like, if you want to come visit, my house is open to y'all. And oh, by the way, my friend Chase keeps inviting me to this thing called the Orthodox Church. Not sure if you've heard about it, but maybe we can go." And I was like, "Bro, you have no idea what's happening.
Wow.
Like, I just left the Orthodox monastery. Like, I'm on my way." So we drove 14 hours straight, ended up at Richards, woke up just in time to get to church on Sunday, and yeah, all three of us, that was our first like regular um, Orthodox church service at like a regular parish, and yeah, I met my spiritual father there. I didn't know he's my spiritual father, but this priest who was giving a homily, like it was so oddly specific. He was telling a story about how he used to live in Miami, and then he ended up like going to St. Herman Monastery or something. I was like, this is so strange. I was like, I have to talk to this guy. And then like after the homily, he even like pointed us out. He's like, who are those three guys standing in the back? And I was like, I'm Nick and these are my friends and I'm from Ohio, but kind of Virginia. And he's like, okay, he's like, talk to me at lunch. And so I did. And I was just ranting to him about the occult and the Baptists and the monastery and everything that happened. And he just grabbed my hand and kissed me. He's like, you have a good heart, Nico. And so he didn't really say anything about my story, but I just felt so comforted by that, and I knew there was something special about him. And but yeah, so my friend Richard's wife, she wouldn't even go with us because she had had so many like bad experiences with Christian cults and New Age cults and stuff like that. She was completely against like anything at that point. Um, but yeah, this priest, my spiritual father, he took me, Clay, and Richard into the back of the church and anointed us with the myrrh from the Ivory Icon. And after that, I just effortlessly got sober for a year.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, so we go home back to Richard's house, and his wife is like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are literally glowing." She's like, "There's something special about that church you went to? Like, what is it? Like, I don't understand. I need to go. And so anyways, me and Clay leave. We go back to Virginia. He drops me off at home and he goes back to Ohio. And then I get a call from Richard like a month later. And he's like, me and my wife, we've been going to the Orthodox church ever since you left, and she loves it. And we understand we're sinners now. We understand that drugs are bad. We understand the new age is all demons. And because they were super new agey. I was like,
Wow.
oh my God, glory to God. And around this time, since I was back in Virginia, I had completely stopped going to the Baptist church and started attending a Greek Orthodox church down there. And it was just nothing like the church in Idaho. Like it was drier, and I could feel that, and I was a little upset by it. But I was like, okay, well, maybe this is just the cross I have to bear, and I'm supposed to just be here and wait it out or whatever. But when Richard called me, he's like, dude, do you want to move here and like live with us, and you can go to this church with us all the time? And I was like, yes, yes, thank God, because I'd been praying. By this point, I'd figured out who St. John of San Francisco was and everything like that, and so I was praying to St. John and Father Seraphim, Saint Seraphim, and saying like, please take me back to that church in Idaho if it's God's will. And so I'd been going to this kind of dry Greek parish where the priest literally told me, he's like, I can't help you. Like, your story's too crazy. I can't help you. I don't know why you want to be here. Yeah. And other weird things would happen there too. Like there's this one guy who would sit next to me during liturgy, and he'd just whisper in my ear and be like, this place is run by the State Department and the globalists and the da da da. And I was like, dude, I don't think you're wrong, because it feels weird here, but like I'm trying to enjoy heaven, you know?
Yeah.
And but I found out that he used to go to the church in Idaho. He's like, oh yeah, I know Father so and so. And so that was like another hint, that I was supposed to go back there. Um yeah, there was so much weird stuff happening at that time, like mystical, cool stuff. Like, I had experienced so many demonic synchronicities that these synchronicities felt holy, I guess. Like it wasn't synchronicity at all, it was God. And yeah, so there was that guy at church who told me weird stuff. And then oh yeah, so because I wasn't really getting a real catechesis from this Greek parish, like there was a priest online who reached out to me, and he's like, hey, I've been following you for a while. I'm so happy to see you've come out of the occult and the conspiracy stuff, and have found the full truth. And I want to invite you to come visit me in California so we can go visit St. John. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way. I've literally been begging St. John to go back out west. And so, like, this priest is inviting me out there, and Richard's calling me all at the same time. And so I just decided to pack up everything I owned, which wasn't much. It was just clothes and icons. Um, Packed it all up and flew out to California, left Virginia, told my Greek priest I was leaving. And he was actually super happy for me and like very loving about it. Like, even though he wasn't a great teacher for me personally, I could see like his real heart shine through at certain times. So anyways, I fly out to California, and I've got all my belongings with me. I meet this priest who was reaching out to me, and he tells me a story about how the Ivory icon myrrh changed his life. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the same myrrh that changed my life. And yeah, he takes me to visit St. John. There was definitely miracles that happened there. Like he took me to the orphanage. And apparently that's kind of hard to get into, but we were just kind of miraculously let in. And then he's like, okay, this is your first lesson in obedience. You're going to go back to St. Herman's. You're going to go back to Father Seraphim's monastery. And so that happened. And when I was there, I went to like a 3-hour long candlelit vigil that felt like 10 minutes. And I was just convinced that the noetic prayer was real. And then I finally get to Idaho, because I just wanted to, take a quick trip through California before I officially moved back to Idaho. And yeah, once I got there, I went to church, saw my now spiritual father, and the first thing I noticed was they had a brand new icon, and it was Father Seraphim Rose. And I was like, holy crap, I really am supposed
Wow.
to be here.
It's like, God, yeah, you kind of mentioned it, but it's almost like God reached out to you the way that you were familiar, like almost like the way you were being drawn into the occult. It was like, okay, here's the true, mystical
Yeah.
faith. It's
He
like,
knew my style. He used
yeah,
synchronicity.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you were saying something earlier about how you grew a lot of followers really fast from writing about the occult and conspiracies. I experienced kind of the same thing. Not to the degree that you did, but largely the amount of followers that I gained on X. I'm up to like 50,000, something like that, and it's mostly from talking about that stuff. Like it's not because of the orthodoxy; it's
Right.
because of the conspiracy stuff. Like I kind of like broke out of the Orthodox exclusive niche,
Yeah.
and it drew a lot of followers that way. So you're right that it is very mainstream now. I think largely due to a lot of these podcasts, covering all this, UFO stuff, and it's like pretty normal to talk about stuff now. I mean, even you have the U.S. government talking about UFOs,
Yeah.
so it's like it's very mainstream, and people want to know. They're searching for answers about it. But then it's interesting that when you do actually show them the truth, they unfollow. Like they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not like, yeah. It's like here's the answers, and then they unfollow. It's like they're
Yeah.
not real truth seekers. Like they're just kind of like looking to affirm their kind of their presuppositions, I guess, whatever that is. So and you're right. It's like you should be experiencing a lot of pushback, a lot of hatred and stuff for talking about the truth. So even just seeing those people unfollow, it's like you're onto something. But yeah, so and so you got up to like what 130,000 or something, and then you saw it start dropping off when you started
Yeah.
talking about orthodoxy.
Yeah. I think it was like 120 and just like continuing to grow like every day.
Yeah.
And then like even like I was being mentioned on big podcast circuits, and then like I was even being mentioned on like CNN and stuff, like, oh, this crazy
Wow.
guy. Yeah, so like, and then as soon like, and all of that stuff is kind of like reverse psychology, like it makes you believe that you're on the right track in a certain way. But as soon as I started saying that even this false pushback, this false censorship is part of a greater conspiracy, like, yeah, everything stopped
Hmm.
growing, um, getting zero traction on my posts, and
Hmm.
it became even worse when Elon bought the platform.
Yeah. So what do you like? Do you think that there was any kind of external forces kind of pushing your content out there?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think I was being groomed to become a psyop. Like me and my friend Kara, we have a running joke, like, should have been a psyop because you make a lot more money. Like, we're complaining about being poor all the time now. But yeah,
And
I
you were
think,
making a lot of money.
yeah, yeah. I think,
So again, it's like why like it's literally I mean it's literally a grift, right? To talk
yeah,
about this stuff because you can
yeah,
make a lot of money just talking about all this schizo stuff without even giving like comprehensive answers to anything, like without actually framing it in a consistent kind of worldview like Orthodoxy does. Like Father
exactly.
Seraphim Rose says, like this stuff only makes sense in the Orthodox worldview.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's
but
the
then if
only
you
way it
want to
makes
make
sense.
money doing it, it's like don't actually draw these like substantial conclusions, like these objective conclusions about reality.
Yeah, yeah. They don't want you believing in an objective truth. It's totally
Yeah,
okay to skits out and be like, everything's fake and this person's evil and there's demons everywhere. That's fine. They want you to
yeah,
be in despair and schizophrenic. That's what this all is, I believe, is like all of the synchronicity, all of the just like doom and gloom. Like it's meant to break
yeah,
your psyche. It's literally trauma-based mind control and demoralization, and yeah, there's nothing there. I mean, this is the reason it's all becoming so popular, I think, is because they are making people forget about repentance. It's literally externalizing the spiritual war. The whole spiritual war is now outside of us because everything's evil. But the real war has always been inside of our own heart. And so as long as they can distract you from that, they don't care because it's not about grabbing power. It's about grabbing your soul. They don't need power. They don't need money. They don't need anything.
yeah. And when you hear these guys talk about it, I mean, I just saw a clip last night from the Blink 182 guy. What is it, Tom DeLonge, who had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
he was like abducted, And he's out there talking about that. That's his whole thing now. He just talks about UFOs on these podcasts. And it was interesting, like what he was saying. It was actually pretty close to describing the aerial realm, but he doesn't know what it is. So he's like, talking about how it's outside of time, and it's like all these people were like blown away. They're like, "Whoa!" Like it's mind blowing, and he's just describing what we know. Like if you were to just read Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, you would just know this stuff. Like you just read one book and you can make sense of this. And
Yeah.
it's like all these guys are like they're getting close to the truth. Like they're like, describing aliens as like these interdimensional beings and stuff, and it's like it's all to distract you. It's like, well, but if you say if you say they're demons, you're crazy. Like, but
Right.
but but
Right.
they're like these interdimensional beings. Like they want to kind of stay within the realm of like obscurity. Like keep it masked in obscurity,
Yeah.
so that you can
Yeah.
just keep talking. Because like if you come to the conclusion, yeah, they're just demons. It's like what's there left to talk about?
Yeah, yeah, they don't really care what you believe about them. I mean, there's plenty of like evangelicals who write books about aliens being demons, right? And that kind of discredits the whole thing because they come at it from a crazier
Yeah,
angle.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I feel like there's so many different psyops out there. Like, oh, it's all stagecraft. Oh, it's all Project Bluebeam. Oh, it's all holograms. Oh, it's quantum entities. It's this. It's that. It's AI. It doesn't really matter as long as you're confused and constantly studying it. If you're in your
yeah,
intellect all day long
exactly.
and not praying in the heart, it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, the some people think they're angels. That's why I was at that property. Is they were telling me that these aliens are good ones, and the Illuminati people they know are the good guys. And there's two different secret societies, and like so, it was so confusing. Um,
Yeah, and that actually goes back to that. So that is in the realm of like Enochian magic, like this
yep,
communication with angels. Like that goes way back to at least the Renaissance period when they adopted all these esoteric ideas like communicating with angels. John Dee, like all these guys, Edward Kelly. And you even see it even in, I mean it just continued, like it never stopped, but like Joseph Smith is a prime example. It's like where did his revelation come from? It was from an
yeah, yeah,
angel. And by the way, he was also scrying too. He was like looking
yep,
into these crystal balls and talking to these demons or whatever. And yeah, and it's like even back in the Renaissance, it was like you had these guys practicing like Kabbalah and alchemy, and they were like doing it for protection against like the black magic. So they were like, "Oh no, this is angelic magic. It's the good kind."
yeah, 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 yeah. So that's what we're watching right now. Is there's a war between black magicians and white magicians.
Yeah,
There's no good guys in the government right now trying to save
yeah.
us.
And both sides are fighting over reshaping reality through magic. It's
Yeah,
just like which way do they want that to go? But it's all through like human will. It's like their will against God's. But yeah, like so it's all the same thing. Like the demons are just stirring up. That's the chaos magic. It's like the demons are just stirring them up and playing both sides.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because that's chaos. I mean,
yeah,
that's what the Discordians believed. Is they said that you should create secret societies within secret societies and counter groups within the groups just to keep people in discord
yeah,
because they believe that they're Gnostics. They believe that order is bad, that the God of order is evil, and so you have to use chaos to break reality and basically transcend into the next
yep.
dimension or whatever. I don't know, but
Yeah, and you see it manifest materially through all these revolutions and counter revolutions,
yeah,
throughout history, like
and
the Reformation, the Counter Reformation, all like the communist revolutions, and then they are responding with some kind of like fascist revolution. It's like it's always this. There's always a counterbalance to the unity of opposing forces.
mhm. And one of their main tools, the Discordians, one of their main tools to break consensus reality or break down the shared beliefs of the majority of people was conspiracy theories. They said that if we put out enough conspiracy theories, then we can successfully like use chaos magic
Yeah,
to break down reality because no one will agree with each other anymore. And so that's the in their philosophy, that's the real meaning of the multiverse. It's not like this actual like there's not an actual multiverse out there. They just believe in splintering mass perception into all these different tiny little tunnels. So no one agrees with anyone about anything. And you could be standing next to someone who lives in a completely parallel reality. And we saw that perfectly with COVID, right? Like
Yep.
I could be in Walmart standing next to someone living in like this very scary reality. Meanwhile, I'm in the reality where I'm making a bunch of money for saying COVID's fake, you know? So it's like,
That's what was really weird. I think that's one of the reasons so many people woke up during that time is that you actually saw like the physical manifestation of how how brainwashed people were because of the masks. So it was like you actually were seeing like in reality like, oh wow, that person's a sheep or whatever.
right.
Like and
But
it's like I'm surrounded by them. Like look at all these people just obeying and wearing their mask when they're driving and stuff. Like why? Like that's crazy. It's like you would have never known that in any other like paradigm. What's inside that person's head. Like you can see their fear on their
yeah.
face. Like they're wearing their fear on their face. And it was just a very bizarre experience. I think that played into a lot of like why people had these spiritual awakenings during that time.
Yeah, exactly. So I obviously think COVID was fake, but I think it was intentionally orchestrated to look fake.
Yeah.
Like they weren't really trying to hide it. It was like obvious how stupid it was. Um, I think, like I said, that was done intentionally as a form of like reverse psychology to like wake up part of the population and then kind of call the other part, I guess. But um, yeah, it was like an initiation period. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people may have found God during that time, but also a lot of people became Gnostics and like, oh, we live in a simulation. And now Elon's promoting that on X. Like, you don't have to be a Christian with discernment to know that COVID was fake. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's more about
exactly.
the
Yeah.
conspiracy worldview, which the chaos magicians in a lot of their comics and books and stuff, like Alan Moore was a big time chaos magician. He wrote all these different comics where basically the future is always dystopian and everyone's a conspiracy theorist and everyone's crazy. That's what they want.
Yeah. He did was it V for Vendetta? Was that Alan Moore?
Yeah, he did V for
Yeah.
Vendetta, The Invisibles. I think he also did Watchmen.
He did yeah, Watchmen. Yep, that's another one. Yeah, I think he did some of the Batman like the Joker novels and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Swamp Thing that's a conspiracy. Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't remember Swamp Thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Bigfoot type narrative. But yeah, it's there it's all manufactured. So I mean, you like and getting back to COVID, like I remember I was tracking COVID from the beginning, like when it was still it was still isolated in China, and I remember seeing I got access to like this archive. I don't even remember where I found it, but it was an archive of all these videos that were coming out of China. And it was like really bizarre, like obviously fake. Like they were driving around and you saw these like piles of bodies and stuff. And there was
Yeah, I
videos of
remember
like
that.
people in their apartments screaming and everything. And it's like, we didn't see anything like that here, but that's how it initially started. And that was the propaganda that they were like launching this global crisis with. Like it started out from the onset fake. And it was like, maybe they realized they're overplaying their hand or something and they adjusted it. But yeah, it was like people who were like kind of watching what was going on before it even came to America. They were like already suspicious about it. But yeah, that's an important thing to know about. I mean, even conspiracy itself is like a term coined by the CIA.
Yeah,
It was
and do you remember what Isaiah said? The prophet Isaiah?
about conspiracies.
Yeah, he said, "Do not call everything a conspiracy. Do not fear what these people fear. You are to fear God alone." It's a pagan
Hmm.
mindset. And
Hmm.
they're literally using all of these tragedies to push people back into an ancient like Babylonian frame of mind where everything's run by secret councils and sorcerers and da 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 da. Like and it's even infiltrating the church. Like I mean, I didn't think that when I went to church that I'd an Orthodox church that I'd be hearing all about like AI and the transhumanists and blah blah blah. Like yes, Father Seraphim wrote about it as a warning. Um, but I don't think that like talking about it so much. I don't know. I don't know if we're supposed to hyper fixate on it as much as we are, if that makes sense.
So how do you? Is that something you're starting to realize because you still do a lot of writing about this
Oh
stuff? But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is it
I'm
something you're trying to
completely.
adjust?
I'm probably possessed by a demon. I can't stop writing even if I wanted to. But I know deep down that I should not be looking at the abyss anymore. I need to be focused on heavenly things. It's really hard. It's honestly
Yeah, I
really
feel
hard.
that. Yeah, and that's like I feel like I'm stuck in it. I mean, I'm sure you can imagine like, and I started this like as being being Orthodox. Like I started doing this stuff, which I feel like to some degree it is a safeguard for me falling too far into the abyss. But it's always a struggle, no matter what. And I didn't even realize the spiritual aspect of it until I published this article, which I think to date is my most one of my most popular articles, definitely top three. And it was actually really related to what we're talking about. It's called "Psychic Soldiers in the Aerial Realm of Demons," and
Hmm,
it was about the Monroe Institute and what Father Seraphim Rose wrote about it in the Soul After Death, and because I found these it's really not like it's pretty popular I think in the conspiracy community, the Gateway Project or whatever it's called, the Gateway
Project
Process,
Stargate.
Project Stargate,
Hmm.
and these tapes called the Gateway Process,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where it's like you've I mean it's like on YouTube, has millions of views on YouTube, like people fall asleep to them, and it's like I guess it trains you to astral project in your sleep.
Yeah, yeah, those
Yeah,
UFO people that I met, they were associated with all those things, like
yeah.
CIA people who had been in Project Stargate, the Monroe Institute, all that stuff. And honestly, I should be dead. Like I think it's only God's grace that has
Hmm.
like allowed me to be a little bit sane. But
Hmm.
like I said, my dream is to be a normal guy. I don't want to talk about this stuff, but I feel like maybe I gotta get it out of my system and at least share the story
Yeah.
before I don't know, just completely become a mountain man. If it's even possible for
Hmm.
me, I don't know. My mind is really just like
Oh, it's. I
ADHD.
mean,
But
it's good. It's gonna be a lifetime of healing. I mean,
yeah,
it's a cross to bear. But I found that like the spiritual challenge it was from that article. Like I started realizing why it went so viral, and it was because of what you said. It appealed to a broader interest of the esoteric, the New Age, the occult,
hmm,
and so a lot of the people reading it were not Orthodox, and they had way different conclusions or assumptions about it. And I got a ton of DMs, like people reaching out to me, even professing Christians that were like, wait, this is all demonic. Like, what are you talking about? I do this. I've seen angels and stuff. I've seen Jesus. And it's
my
like, dude, did
gosh,
you read the article? I'm saying throughout the article that it's all a deception. And it's like you're telling, like you can't tell deceived people that they're deceived, like they're just not
yeah,
buying it because their experience like overrides all of that.
yeah,
So that's when I realized I was like, man, I don't even think I'm equipped for this. Like I don't like this is way over my ability to actually communicate with these people that my content is reaching. Like I don't even know what to do about that.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean, I think it's probably okay because I mean, God knows our intentions. I mean, my stuff is taken out of context all the time, but we can't really be attached to the fruit of the work. We just have to do our work and
yep,
let it go.
yeah. It's like
But
your responsibility is to put the truth out there in an and what I do is I try to like refrain from putting any of my own spiritual insights in there because I'm a total nobody and I'm a noob at Orthodoxy. And so I just try to use, draw from the saints as much as I can. And it's like that's kind of all we can do because, if you're going to touch on these subjects, that, like I said, it's your responsibility. And if the people reading it or, engaging with the content are confronted with that and they still choose to remain in their delusion, then that's on them. It's like you're just reaching them where they are because otherwise you
yeah,
wouldn't have gotten their attention in the first place. And you're presenting them the truth, and then it's like it gives them more responsibility, if anything.
hmm, yeah. Lord of mercy. I feel like. Do you think it's bad for potentially putting something out there and then people are pushed away from the truth from it. Like if we offer them the truth and then they say, I don't want that. Do you think it's on like in a way it's on us because we didn't present it in the best way possible?
I don't know. I don't know if there, like, for a lot of people, I don't think there is a best way possible to present it to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you could even point them to directly to Father Seraphim Rose and say, "Here, read Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future." They could read that and still be in their delusion. And we would say no one can present it better than him.
That's true. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like could we do better? Of course. We're not saints. We're not we're not even monastics or anyone really important. But I think just being prayerful about it is the best you can do if you are doing something like this. But I honestly don't know. I haven't figured it out. I mean, this is just something that it's like like again. I feel like I got like stuck into doing this, and it's not that I
Mm-hmm.
don't enjoy it, but it is a challenge. Like I said, because you are diving really deep into the depths of darkness, and people thank me all the time for doing what I
Mm-hmm.
do because they're like, I couldn't do this. I couldn't go that deep with this stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know if I can. I still haven't
Yeah.
figured
Yeah.
out if I can do it. Like it's pretty overwhelming. And yeah, the main challenge with it is like, yeah, you're steeped in all this research with this dark stuff. And it's like, I should be reading spiritual works. I should be,
Yeah.
visiting the monasteries more. I should be, not really engaging with this stuff at all, really. Like I would much rather be on the end of the consumer, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
someone's distilling this all for me and they can make sense of it, and then I could read the article or listen to a podcast and be on with my life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely. I mean, someone's got to do it. I do think that. Um, but yeah, I would like to get to a place where I can have peace about like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my insanity is all I have to offer to the world. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, but at the same time, really all God cares about is prayer. I mean, there's that have you read Everyday Saints?
No, that's on the list. I need to read that one. Always gets recommended to me.
Yeah, there's a great story in there about I think it's a Father Melchizedek. He was like a really skilled woodworker, and he would make all these beautiful art pieces at the monastery, and he ended up having like a near death experience. He died and came back to life, and afterwards he wouldn't really talk to anybody about it. When he was asked what he saw, he would just weep. But finally someone pulled it out of him. They're like, what did you see? What did you see? And he's like, well, I was taken to this big field and there was a big pit there, and it was just filled with all of my broken like woodwork, and it was all
Hmm.
twisted and disgusting, and the most holy Theotokos was standing behind him just shaking her head, and she's like, you're a monk. All we asked from you was prayer. Instead, you gave us all of this furniture.
Hmm.
And he was just he's so
Wow.
distraught by it that he just became mostly silent for the rest of his life.
There's a similar story in Wounded by Love. Have you ever read that one?
I love that book. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's talking about because Saint Porphyrios he like kind of snuck into Mount Athos like when he was like a child,
Hmm.
and it's like you're not supposed to be a child on Mount Athos,
Right.
and so he was kind of raised by the Athenites, and there's a story about I guess he's like carving. He was also I think doing woodworking, and I don't remember what it was. It was like maybe a ship or something that he was carving. And he finally finished it. It was like took him all this time. It was like really intricate kind of like design. And the abbot smashes it. I think that's what happened. Like
Oh wow.
the abbot like destroyed it, and it was kind of like, why'd you do that? And he's like, you didn't ask for a blessing to make that. It was like, even though it was like this beautiful carving,
Yeah. Yeah.
he didn't ask for a blessing. And it's like that's what taught him that everything, like you don't just like do stuff like, I mean, this is a monastic, so it's like we don't need permission to build something, but it's just like showing you the level of discipline required on Mount Athos.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Saint Porphyrios? Is he the one that said Like we should not even pay attention to the demons.
It might have been. I mean, that's a pretty that's a pretty consistent sentiment. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Like you don't defeat evil by fighting
yeah,
evil. You become holy by focusing on Christ
hmm,
and fighting the evil in yourself. And so like I said, I know I already said it, but I think that's the biggest like deception with all this conspiracy stuff, which I am really guilty of, not quitting. And I think honestly my spiritual father is just being very patient with me and allowing me to wean off at a
yeah.
in a healthy amount of time. I mean, even this morning was so funny. He's like, "What'd you write about last night?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing good, nothing good." He's like, "Did you write about fags from Mars?" I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And that's actually what I was doing. I was writing all about Elon Musk being a Martian.
Yeah, I mean, I found the same, that it's like the spiritual wisdom of the church. Like you won't get anyone telling you, whether it's a priest or a spiritual father. Like in my experience, it's not like they'll still say like, stop doing that,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
they want
don't write about this particular thing. Like they have a very, like, there's so much grace where it's like, if they disagree with what you're doing, they know that it's like a matter of time that like the Holy Spirit will correct your behavior or something. Like they don't take these kind of drastic like
no. It's
prescriptions, like,
loving.
oh, you need to stop doing this like right now. Like, they're very, there's a lot of grace in it. And yeah, there is a lot of like there's a weaning process, and this, I'm going to refer to Father Seraphim Rose again. I just kind of came across this writing. He was talking about music, because Father Seraphim was deeply moved by music
Yeah.
before his conversion. He listened to a lot of secular music, like rock and roll and stuff. And this was the 70s, right?
That's
60s and
so
70s.
interesting.
Yeah, and he wrote a letter about. I guess he was responding to someone who was asking about music, and he was saying, he describes that there's three different types of music. There's the music of the body, which is like rock and roll, like dance music and stuff, like the stuff that makes you move. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's music of the
Music of the
soul,
intellect.
which is like
Okay.
classical, like
Okay.
just beautiful music. And then there's the music of the spirit, which is the church music, the hymns of the church.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he said that, like, when he first became a monk, he was kind of just like weaning himself off of the music. Like it wasn't just like a strong cutoff where he was like, all right, I'm done with everything. Like I'm throwing away all of my secular albums. He just started listening to more music of the soul, and he would play it in the in the monastery, and I guess some of the other monks would be like, oh, what is that you're listening to? I don't remember if it was the monastery or if it was like in his in university. It might have been university he was talking about. And I guess some of the other students were like, oh, that's beautiful. And he put them onto a lot of classical music, and, just realized that it was like, it just slowly over time, he started to prefer the music of the soul and the spirit over the rock and roll stuff. So it's like, not
Yeah.
that he stopped listening to it. It's just like became lesser. And that's with anything, right? It's like we were talking about alcohol or whatever vice that you have. There's a process to it. It's not just like like the Baptists say, like, oh, just stop. Like, just, it's like, just stop doing that. Or like, I don't like that or whatever. It's just like, you have the grace in the church of like, this thing you're struggling with could be a lifelong process. I'm
Yeah.
reminded of you're probably familiar with this story of St. Paisios. There was an alcoholic
Yeah, the drunk
yeah,
monk.
the drunk monk. Yeah. Yeah. And he says, I guess he had a reputation of just being a drunk, and he dies. And then one of the other monks comes to St. Paisios and is like kind of, I guess, trash talking or something about him.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he he
He
used
saw
to
the
drink.
angels escort him to heaven, right?
Maybe that might be, and I don't remember that in the story, but that could be true. But yeah, he was basically saying that he used to drink 10 glasses of liquor per day, and then he reduced it to 2. So like he fulfilled his struggle, like to some extent, where he decreased the amount of sinning he was doing by engaging in his vice. So it's
Yeah.
like he didn't get rid of it completely, but he did the work of decreasing the amount. So it's like, again, you don't see that in the Protestant denominations, that kind of catering to the grace of the suffering.
Yeah, they pretty I felt like in the Baptist church, like, because I wasn't already perfect, I just wasn't one of the elect who was like
Yeah,
predestined to be
yeah,
saved. So I was just effed over.
yeah. Well, I
But
guess I'll go to hell.
yeah, I guess I'll go to
Yeah,
hell now. Like, but I knew that there had to be something that transformed me. Like, I knew that if God was real, that he would do it. I just had to find where he was. And it definitely wasn't with the Baptist, because it's just like it was so worldly, you know? Like, it doesn't feel otherworldly at all.
hmm.
Um but yeah, I don't know, the thing about like spiritual fathers and being graceful and everything, like how there is like a weaning period. Yeah, we're supposed to go. We might go visit Father Seraphim together. And
Yeah.
I was asking permission. I was like, "Am I allowed to go?" And he's just like, "You know what, Nico? Do whatever you want. That's what you do, anyways, right?" And I was like, "What? When do I do whatever I want?" He's like, "You kidding me?" And I was like, I was like, I mean, I'm kind of kidding, but I want to know specifics. And then he just started listing things, and I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm sorry."
Ah, yeah. You asked. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
will go. I think I
Yeah,
will go.
that's
And
the
that,
thing. They just kind of, yeah, again, it's like prescriptive to how you are. Like they
yeah,
know, they're just like, well, you're doing that anyway, right? It's like, well, you kind of you travel around, you go on these trips on a whim. You might
yep,
as well do that to go, do that and go to a monastery, right? It's like, what's the
yeah.
like? Why would you not be on board with that?
You
But
know,
yeah,
the
yeah,
demons ruthlessly attack obedience. Like that's something that the Protestants don't have at all, that I was not used to. Like, crucifying the self will. I had
yeah,
no idea that that was how you find out that's what God's will is. You know.
yeah, or
Um.
yeah, as Father Seraphim says, crucifying the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the whole reason I live with at the church house with the nun and the pious old lady. Um. The whole reason for that is because when I first moved here, I was just living in a cabin in the woods at Richard's house. And I was like, "Father, why was that so easy? Why was that so, like, it was so peaceful?" And he's like, "It was pre-lust." He's like, "It was your own will. You wanted to live back there." Because I was like, I thought I was like a monk or something.
Hmm.
And he's like, "You have to be a normal guy. You have to go work a job in society and, be with regular people." And because I think it's perfect, because it makes total sense. I've always been like an extremist, right? I had to be like a big author guy or someone who went into the middle of the mountains. Like, apparently I just have to find the narrow path.
Hmm. The royal path, yeah. Yeah, that's the key right there, the royal path, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
balance and grace and being realistic. Like, I think it's prideful to say, "Oh, I can just quit everything right now," like. And it's super interesting you brought up the music thing, because I've been wondering about that.
yeah.
So Father Seraphim speaking again, I didn't know that he weaned himself off music, because
Yeah,
like,
and again, it's not, I've talked about this before, but it's not like there's no like list of, don't listen to this kind of music or this artist or whatever. It's like it's prescriptive to the person, and there's this acknowledgement of like, if you're really into some kind of media, music or movies, whatever, it takes a while to like wean yourself off of that. It's a vice. It's not like this. I think very rarely you see, even in the lives of the saints, like where there's like an immediate kind of transformation, where
yeah,
there's just like,
yeah,
this Protestant concept of like, oh, I was born again. Like I had this inner transformation and I'm like a completely new person.
yeah,
Like
I'm perfect
spiritually,
now.
yes, you are, but like you still have like a flesh, right? It's like you still have the same struggles that come with you through your conversion, and that you have to reduce the amount of entertaining of the vices of the passions. So
Yeah, I didn't realize that it would be um like a lifetime of repentance,
yeah,
um
yeah.
and
Well, like
falling and getting back up.
think about if you got into a state where like you feel like you don't need to repent of anything. That's
Right, right.
pre-lest. Like
Yeah.
that's pre-lest right there. It's like, oh, I don't really sin that much anymore. Like I've had this transformation and I'm like a new person. So there's not really a whole lot for me to repent over.
Right. And that's what Saint Francis, well, Saint in quotes, Francis of Assisi, that's what he thought on his deathbed. He's like, "I'm finally done repenting." And
Yeah.
Father Seraphim wrote about that, and he was
Yep.
the one who was he associated with the miracles of Fatima at all? Didn't he see like some orbs or something?
No, he
Like,
had. Well, I don't. Maybe, but I know he had the stigmata.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So this UFO
which it was
person,
another. That was, by the way, another experience from an angel that he didn't question.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's what this UFO experiencer that I met, they have stigmata, and the
Wow.
Vatican's even involved in that. And so all of this leads me to believe that conspiracy and Christianity and transhumanism, they're all mixing together into this confusing religion of the future, like
Hmm.
Father Seraphim said. And yeah, I think there's going to be like angels and demons and aliens and
Yeah.
whatever, and no one's going to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. You
But
have
if you just,
Peter Thiel talking about doing lectures on the Antichrist.
yeah, it's just so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think you posted about that, and I commented something because I thought about that a lot. It's like the Antichrist is likely going to be talking about the Antichrist because how are people going to be how are so many of the elect going to be deceived by the Antichrist? Well, he's gonna make them think he's not the Antichrist. One way to do that is to talk about the Antichrist as if you're not him.
That's true, but didn't Father Seraphim say that the Antichrist could potentially appear even Orthodox?
Uh, I don't know if I remember reading that, but yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Yeah.
So I feel like there's a ton of fake Antichrists
Yeah.
right now.
Well, I
Like,
mean, we were just reading in the book club the eschatological visions of the blessed, which is a compilation of all these Orthodox prophecies, and a lot
mhm,
of them relate to the Antichrist. And I forget who it was, but one of the elders prophesied that that some of the Russian patriarchs would be at the convocation of the Antichrist.
oh my gosh, yeah, I could believe that.
So
Easily, I
yeah,
could believe that. I mean,
it will tie into orthodoxy, you know.
yeah, you know Alexander Dugin, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that dude who's in Putin's ear telling him all about how we need like a religious revival and everything. Well, that guy used to be a Crowleyite, and he just
yeah, I've
rebranded
seen him
himself as a
post about that.
traditionalist.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I one of the things that helped me along the way of this Orthodox journey, or I guess not necessarily helped me, is just one of the things I found out is like, or even confused me, was when I was exploring all the different Protestant denominations, especially ones I didn't agree with. Like I even fell into a charismatic church for a little bit, but all of them share the same dispensationalist prophecies.
hmm.
Like all of them talk about um, like like you don't have to be Orthodox to have the discernment needed to see that, oh, Elon's bad, or Trump might be bad, or Putin might be bad. Like there's Protestants talking about
Yeah.
that, you know
There's
what I mean?
non-Christians talking about
Yeah,
that.
there's
Yeah,
Gnostics talking about it. So
yeah,
this is not actually a spirit of discernment. This is
yeah,
just like they are making it obvious
yeah,
because it's part of the confusion of the end times. And so yeah, once I found Orthodoxy and realized the Holy Fathers didn't really have like a 7-year tribulation, or like a set in stone exact timeline of how things will
yeah,
go, I was like, this makes so much sense. They're literally staging some of these things to convince Christians it's the end times. Like I said, it's part of the religion of the future. Like there's going to be all these denominations coming together to fight against these antichrists and these aliens and these, it's going to be so confusing.
yeah, yeah. Things are going to get really. I mean, everything's heading, and we're seeing things heading in that direction already.
But
Even
it's
just being
oh
online, like you don't even have to go outside. Like you just go
yeah,
online, and you can see the mass confusion from especially from AI, like all this
yeah,
algorithmically distributed content with AI, like you can't even avoid it anymore. There's no filter for like I don't want to see AI content.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's all just mass confusion because like people now can't they we're heading in the direction of like you can't even believe your own eyes anymore.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't
And
know,
so
like people can't tell if a real video is AI.
yeah, and that's why none of this conspiracy stuff actually matters, because if you're using the intellect to discern the end times, you're going to be confused.
Yeah.
You have to like be in the heart and knowing Christ's voice, or else you're going to fall for anything.
Yep.
At least that's what I think. I mean, I don't really know, but I just don't see um I don't think it's going to be It's not gonna be easy. Let's just say that.
No. Yeah, you can talk about how, oh yeah, I'm not going to be deceived or whatever, but
No, like if the
I'm,
Antichrist chose to like seduce people with money or something else like that, I might fall for it. Like I have to get stronger.
yep. Yeah,
Like,
there's a great quote that I love to keep in mind from Saint Ignatius Brianchanov, because he wrote a lot on prelest, and he said something along the lines of the first defense against prelest is acknowledging that you're susceptible to it,
mm. Well, yeah,
or
are
that
we?
you probably have it, or that you probably are prelest. Like you
Yeah,
just first acknowledge that, and that was something that really drew me to Orthodoxy from the start. Like before I knew anything about the theology and all that stuff, like I learned about this concept of prelest, and I was like, I grew up evangelical. I've never heard that acknowledged before, that like you could be thinking that you have the truth and the Holy Spirit and all this stuff, and it could be a complete delusion.
yeah, yeah. No, that was like I said, that was a big game changer for me too. Because when I was having all those dreams in the Baptist church, but still getting drunk, I was like, why? Why was that happening? And then when I found prelest, I was like, so. I mean, I was scared, but also relieved. I was like, this makes sense. I was totally being attacked by demons, of course, because like they didn't want me to really find Christ, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the I'm pretty sure we're basically born into prelust, and you don't really come out of it until you're like fully deified, until you don't have any thoughts at all.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you only have one thought, and that is the name of Christ, you know, the unceasing prayer of the heart.
Yeah, because even like the saints, like they're, none of the saints acknowledge that they were saints, and they would probably cringe. They would like rebuke if you called them a saint, because like they knew
Yeah,
that that would lead to prelest if they started thinking of themselves that way.
yeah.
And I remember like when the first time I ever went to a monastery, I was at Jordanville. I'll never forget this. There was a monk who just kept to himself, and he wore these ear protection, like he was wearing ear protection, and I didn't ask why. I just thought it was a little weird. Like I didn't know anything, but he's just doing all of his chores and walking around, just kept to himself. And one of the other pilgrims asked the priest monk, like basically like, what's his deal? Like, why is he wearing those headphones? And he said, that's so that he can't hear conversations.
Mm,
So like even with among his brothers, like even among the other monks, he didn't want to hear any conversation.
hmm.
And he said that that guy, that particular monk, he would, his almsgivings was that he went every single day and prayed over every grave in the monastery.
Wow.
And it's like that's when I realized, like, when you go to a monastery, there's probably a saint there and you have no
Oh,
idea. Like
yeah, dude. I'm pretty sure I met one. I think I've met multiple, honestly, but there was definitely, well, I'm not gonna say definitely, but there was someone very illumined at the St. Herman of Alaska, Father Seraphim's monastery. The first time I met him, I was just like, "So how long have you been here?" And he just paused for a moment, and he's just like, "I don't know." I was like, "This dude is not in time, you know." And then yeah, the second time I was there, my friend was just telling me a story about him because I was like, wow, that guy has like real humility. He's like, you'll never believe what he told me the other day. And I was like, what'd he say? So my one friend was like, I don't know if he's still there or not, but he was living there. Um, but he wasn't a monk. He was just living there and doing like paperwork for Father Damascene. And so anyways, he was like cleaning dishes and he's like, why does monk so and so keep leaving his dishes on the table? And then this one illumined guy was just like, I don't know, brother, that knowledge is too wonderful for me. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I wish I could be like that. That's crazy. But like when someone like him says it, like you'd have to experience it, right? Like you know he means it. Like of course you
yeah,
can just say stuff like that, but yeah.
yeah. Well, this was a good chat, man. I'm glad we finally got around to chatting, because this is your story is, as you can imagine, I think it's something that needs to be heard, and it probably resonates with more people than we realize. I meet people all the time, Orthodox converts who came out of the occult or the
Yeah,
charismatic movement, obsession with UFOs, conspiracy stuff like that we're talking about here. And, I think it's really valuable to have these experiences out there, and to know that it's like you'll always meet somebody who was like way deeper into it than you were, and
hmm
came out of it. And the miraculous way that you came out of it is, it's all the glory of God, really. It's all the grace of God.
for
And
sure. Yeah, I did not do anything. Like it doesn't.
yeah,
None of it makes sense to me.
you just got pulled, like
Yeah,
you just got like pulled in.
and there's definitely people that are even deeper than what I'm talking about. Like
Oh yeah.
people I know that are still inside of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
that I'm desperately praying for, because it's like the demons are so ruthless. Like I know from experience, like yeah, like you're talking about that monk that was praying over all the graves. Like I thought that when I converted that I would, like, I don't know, always be so zealous and so joyful, and it's like no, dude, it's almost impossible, and that's why it's hard to evangelize too, because it's like, I wish I could tell you that there's perfect peace once you become Orthodox, but no, sometimes, like,
It's
yeah,
suffering.
I've lost the ability to pray most times. Like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
like I thought I was done drinking forever. I relapsed into drinking a few times. Like, so yeah, but it's all for our humility, and God is good all the time. So, anyways, this was amazing, man. Thank you for allowing me
No,
to
thank
get
you for
this off
coming
my
on.
chest.
Yeah, it's I'm really glad you decided to actually come out about your story. I know that there's a lot of other stuff that you can't even mention. So and it's really, it goes deep, and I understand why you wouldn't be able to mention a lot of this stuff, but I'll keep you in my prayers. It was and I'm looking forward to I'm going to be, hopefully God willing, meeting with you up
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Platina. So we'll get to chat with Father Seraphim together, because he brought me to Orthodoxy as well. That's why I have a special love for Father Seraphim.
He's the best.
And so I think that's why he's so beloved in America. Like he was hitting all this stuff that is like the symptoms of particularly the American like American version of modernism, which involves all this occult stuff, and it's like he was kind of the only one really talking about it to that degree. Even when I read The Soul After Death, the fact that it's like he's starting off the book talking about near death experiences and this Monroe Institute, and it's like, whoa, like I thought I
Yeah.
just wanted to learn about the toll houses. Like where is he going? Where's he going with this? And even like the Orthodoxy and the religion of the future. It's like you look at the chapter titles. It's like what is this about? The
Yeah.
charismatic movement, New Age, UFOs. Like how does this all relate? And you realize it does, but you have to read it because it's all intertwined, as we know now. But
Yeah, and then
um,
once you sail across the river on a raft, but you don't continue to carry it with you. It's like once you know, we should just drop it and move on. And we have to wean off. It's going to take time, but like one last thing I wanted to finish on that Father Seraphim said that was super illuminating was the fact that not everything in these mystical texts is literalized. Like
yeah,
the aerial toll houses are not literal. It's
yeah,
just the most accurate way that we can understand
yes,
with our human brain. It's symbolic, and like we don't even understand what symbolism really means anymore because of the Western
yeah,
perversion of the word. But like there were saints that talked about the mark of the beast and how it's not even actually a computer chip or 666 or anything like that. It's a spiritual mark. So all of this stuff, like, oh my God, they're going to put computer chips in you. Like, yeah, don't get it. But even if someone does, that doesn't mean their soul is gone. Like, a little old lady who doesn't read Protestant conspiracy theories online is not going to go to hell if she got the vaccine. I just don't believe that. Um, so yeah,
yeah,
all of this stuff, a lot of this stuff is just fear. They
yeah,
want you to fear the devil. They want you to fear the demons, and it's nonsense.
yeah,
Like if the
yeah.
demons are attacking, glory to God, because that means they're tearing away at your flesh and preparing you for heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was like, when I was like in the charismatic movement, it was like they're like talking to demons and stuff. I mean, you can see videos of this now, like when they do these all these like fake exorcisms, which is always hilarious because it's like they're in a church and these demon possessed people, allegedly demon possessed, come into the church. It's like, what's that saying about your church? That demons are flocking to your church. Like all these
Right.
demon possessed people are coming in and like they're talking to him, they're asking questions. It's like that's such a deception that like, like holy people don't talk to demons. Like they just
No.
ignore them and make them seethe with their holiness.
Yeah, they're gonna lie to you, and then you're gonna write a book about all the lies that. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen those books. There's like a conversation with a demon and how the end times happens. It's like, bro, this is a lie, literally
Yeah.
out of the pit of hell.
Yeah, and that's what the aerial realm does too. That's why, again, Saint Ignatius Brianchanov in that book, Father Seraphim quotes him saying that the only permissible access to that realm is through death. It's through Christian suffering when you die and the angels come to take your soul through it. Like you
Yeah,
don't go through that realm on your own because you're going to come out deceived. Like it's
yeah,
like a guarantee. Even if you think you saw Jesus or angels or something, you're probably even more cooked, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you saw like a fake heaven, like, and
Yeah.
you're able to talk about it, like,
Yeah. Because you
you're
come
not.
back from that experience and you're like, well, everything I was doing is good. Like I'm good. I just keep doing what I'm doing. I know I was given a vision that I'm going to encounter angels and I'm going to heaven.
Yeah, yeah. That whole thing. It's just crazy how deceptive it's becoming. Like St. Paul told us, we cannot even imagine what heaven's like, yet there's people flying around in these heavenly realms. And yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, it's all
Yeah.
nonsense, and I'm wiped. But thank
Yeah.
you, brother.
Yeah.
I hope we get to meet soon.
Yeah.
It'd be
We will.
awesome.
Yeah. Lord willing. All right, man. Yeah. I'll let you go. But thanks again, man. It was great talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All
God
right.
bless.
God bless.